Today on Pat's Car Garage, we're gonna deal with a little bit of an annoying problem. The Actually, I'll demonstrate it if I can find my key. The climate controls on the W164 have this annoying tendency of not working. So you may not see it on the camera, but we've got the driver's side all the way on cold, and if you try to rotate it, well, it stays on cold, which is no fucking good at all. Now, Mercedes charges you an obscene amount of money for this climate control module. It's about $1,000, which is absolutely ridiculous, if you ask me. And on top of that, to add insult to injury, it's coded to the car, so you can't go to a junkyard and buy yourself another module and simply replace it because it's coded to the car. It's not going to work. So we're going to remove it and see what we can do. Now, if I remember correctly, what you need is a screwdriver, and you just sort of have to stick it onto the side and fish around in there until you pop it off. So we got one side out. Now let's go ahead and do the other side. There you go. I think there's another tab on this side. We'll figure that out in a little bit. There you go. Now, disassembling the backside is pretty easy. It just got some torque screws. You unscrew it and they come right out. Okay, so removing the backside here is not terribly difficult. What you have to do is there's tiny little screws all around. They're really small, like T4 or T5. So you need a precision screwdriver set. And then you simply pull these apart. There's these little tabs that hold on to it. So just, like lift them up and you can separate the back. Now the next part is a little bit less obvious. First you have to remove the round dials from these. I did one side already, but you'll have to do both. But basically you have to just, there's little retaining tabs that kind of hold on to it like this. So you just have to lift them out and just slowly remove it. And be wary of these little things. There's a little spring here. It's a tiny little spring and a little plastic tab. That's what actually does your clicking action. So just be careful when you remove that. I'll do the other side, then I'll show you how to pull this part out. It's not exactly obvious. So there's these little tabs on the side which you just gotta like pull them back and then just slowly extract the board out. And I guess one of the switches stays on and the other comes off with it. It's a little weird, but oh well. Okay, well, I've got some good news. It works. So basically, what I found out when I was testing around with my multimeter was that I eventually got the switch to work, but I noticed that there was some crud on the circuit board. So I cleaned all that up, and I also took the opportunity to clean the switch itself, and I found that after that it would more consistently switch to 0 ohms when you actually moved it physically. So basically, it seems like the only problem is sometimes that little micro switch gets dirty on the inside, and that's what actually stops the thing from working. So we'll give it a try here. I'm just gonna turn the car on. So we see now it's up at 22 and it works perfectly. So you can go all the way to red, all the way to blue. No problem. Quick tips for putting it back together. Just be careful. There's a couple tabs that have to align. So if the buttons don't press all the way in or stick, it's because you haven't aligned it correctly. So just you have to give it a few tries. Just go back and forth, and eventually you'll get it right. Now the rest of it, like once you have the circuit board back inside, you reassemble the switches. Don't forget the little springs and the tap that goes in, because obviously, if you don't have that, you won't get this clicking action. Apart from that, of course, here you just see me. I just plugged it in temporarily to test it. I'm going to go back inside and put it back together. And, reassembling it, it's actually pretty easy. You just slide it in like you did and just click it in place, and that's it. So one quick thing that I'd like to mention is how to clean the contacts on the micro switches. There's a bunch of products out there, but my personal favorite is, I would have used it if I had it. I just cleaned it with pure isopropanol. Not ideal, but ideally what you would use is some sort of cleaner and then lubricant for electrical switches. Now, Deoxit does a whole bunch of good products for that. I think the Gold G5 is the cleaner, and they have another product specifically to lubricate linear faders, like on mixing boards and that type of stuff. So you want something that also lubrifies at the end, because that switch goes back and forth on the inside. You want the little internal mechanism to be properly lubrified, so it doesn't damage itself over time. I might have to pull this apart again and just spray in some proper contact cleaner and some of that electrical fader lubricant. But other than that, I'm actually happy it works, because it's the middle of winter in cold-ass Canada, and not having heat is a little bit precarious. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you saved some money doing this, because it's ridiculous that you'd have to pay $1,000 for this just to have a working switch. Anyway, stay tuned. I know I haven't been quite as busy uploading videos as I had in the past for a bunch of reasons, but I'm going to try to keep some sort of regular uploads coming. So stick around.